Hi, everybody. This is Philip Martin, and this is my video version of the OnFilm column, which we're still doing while in lockdown. And this is Audi, who decided to come up here this morning, and because she's very relaxed and she calms people down. She's a therapy dog, and I need the therapy, don't I? It's September 11th, and some of you will well, all of you will remember where you were on September 11th, 2001, if you were around on September 11th, 2001, which increasingly, I guess, is possible because, God, it was 19 years ago. We were at the Toronto Film Festival. We were leaving that morning. I remember we got up, and it was a day much like today, which is a couple of days in the past. For all, for all you Tenet fans, yeah, we're time traveling here too, because I'm back on Tuesday afternoon. And it was one of those days where the sky was just cloudless. It was empty sky, and it was we took a cab. Actually, we took a limo because this was back in the day when we did these things, and we took a car to the airport. And we got out of the car and we went into the airport and we went through. Well, had to go back in those days before you went through customs. You had to go and kind of check in and stuff like that. We were checking in and we got through. We went through customs, and we were about to buy a sandwich. We were going to buy a sandwich and take it on the plane. And I looked up at the monitor in the little restaurant where we were, a little cafeteria type thing. Yeah, we're going through the line. I looked up and there's a television monitor up there, and I'm watching as this plane, you know, um, with vapor trails and all, flies into this building, and I'm going like, what movie is that? And you could just sort of feel this more than hear it, but this sort of tension rising in the airport there. Nobody said anything, and we didn't say anything. We got our sandwiches and we walked down. We had to walk a long way to the gate, and as we were approaching the gate, a bunch of people were coming back down the hallway toward us, and we realized they had canceled the flight. We looked up and we saw that the flight had been canceled. And so we went back. We reversed course and went back through customs, which I'd never done before. Actually left the airport. Left the, went back through security and went to the, desk. And somehow we were able to get there like very quickly, and maybe I was one of the few people who actually realized I was going to have to rebook the flight. And I was talking to this young woman who was at the counter, and she's clicking away. I said, our flight's been canceled, and we need to get, back to Little Rock, Arkansas. And what can you do? And she's like, takes the ticket and click, 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 like they do. And they're clicking, and a man walks up behind her, and he just sort of whispers in her ear, and I can hear what he says. He says, U.S. airspace has been closed. And you could just see this look come over these folks. Just this white, kind of drained look, because nobody had ever heard those words before, at least not spoken in all seriousness. And he tells her this, and she looks at me and kind of like, did you hear that? And yes, I heard it, and I turned and I told Karen, you call the hotel, I will get a car and we're going to go back to the hotel. And Karen ran to the cell phone, or ran to the pay phones, which we didn't have cell phones at that time. Karen and I didn't. We were late adopters of it. And I have a distinct memory as I'm walking out of the airport trying to catch a cab or whatever I can get at the curb, of this woman on a cell phone just standing there, and tears were just coming down her face. We got in the cab, and our driver was a Sikh. He had the turban, and we got in the cab, and we told him to take us back to our hotel, which couldn't give us our room back, but was going to give us a different room, which was lucky. And he asked if we knew what would happen, and I told him that what we knew, and he switched on the radio, and he told us, that a bomb had gone off in Chicago, and that there were many planes in the air that they thought were, being hijacked, and all these crazy rumors that at the time just felt like, well, it really felt like we were under some sort of, well, we were under attack, but it felt like a much more widespread attack at the moment than it did after a couple of days. We thought there was a plane in the air. I remember going on its way to LA that had been hijacked, and so we get back to our hotel, and we just drop our bags off because the room's not ready. And what are you going to do in that situation? Well, what we did was we wandered back down to the Toronto International Film Festival, and we ended up going into a screening, and we watched about 20 minutes of this movie. Benjamin Bratt was playing this Cuban poet, and about 30 minutes in, they turned the lights on and shut the film down and said, the directors asked us not to show this and under the circumstances. So we wandered over to the Ritz-Carlton, to the Four Seasons, and we went up to the media center, where there were journalists from all over the world gathered in this room, and we just watched the news coverage, the Canadian news coverage of it. And I remember that it was just silent, and people were weeping, and somebody made some kind of stupid joke from the back of the room, and the whole room just kind of turned and glared. It just withered, just this withering collective look at this guy, and he shut up. And I don't remember, but there was a photographer there, and we ended up took a picture of me and Karen, and we ended up on the front page of the Globe and Mail the next day. I'd kind of like to have that picture, actually. I've never been able to find it, but I remember seeing it the next day. And we went back to the hotel we wandered around Toronto that afternoon. At some point, we called the office. And again, it was back then, we didn't have cell phones, so it was like, we had the old calling card, the credit card thing you call up, punch out all those numbers. And they told us to kind of sit tight, that they might want us to go to New York, because we were probably the closest people from our newspaper to New York at the time, so we were all ready to go. In fact, I went back after wandering around Toronto that afternoon, and there were banners hanging out of windows, and people were crying, and I remember a child saying that Americans are like us, and we are all Americans today. Sorry, Audi. Anyway, we got back to the hotel, and we tried to get a car. We tried to get to rent a car to go to New York, and all the cars were rented, and the borders were closed. I remember that. They could not get over. So we stayed another day, and we got a bus And when we got on the bus, they told us, they said, we don't know if they're going to let us over the border or not, but we're going to try. And so there were maybe 15 of us on that bus, and we took the bus, and we went through customs. We went through border control just as quick as I've ever done it. We just walked across, walked through the room. Nobody said anything to us. Nobody, checked our passports or anything. And, we were in Buffalo, New York. We got a bus, and we took the bus to Cleveland, and then we got a car in Cleveland, and we drove 13 hours back to Little Rock, straight through. Got home about 4 in the morning, something like that. Got a couple hours sleep, took the car back to the rent-a-car place, and just our lives went on from then. That was the end of the before. And I remember that drive very well because it was eerie, and that we were listening to NPR the whole time, and there were no planes in the skies, of course. And I remember telling Karen, I said, it's all changed. And it has. It's all changed. It's all different than it used to be. It's one of those moments where your life gets broken into a different part. It's like you've branched off into this alternative reality. And it still feels like that alternative reality, maybe more so lately these days, but I mean, really, it's sort of hard to imagine how we lived before 2001. I mean, I know we used to travel a lot. We were a lot more careless about it. We didn't, think much about it. We didn't, like I said, we got cell phones after that. We canceled a couple of trips right after that, which was unusual. Well, part of it was the whole flying thing was suddenly very deadly and dangerous, and part of it was you just didn't have an appetite to do something like that. And it never went back to normal. We had, I guess, what you'd call a new normal. After a couple of years, we went back to the Toronto Film Festival the next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. And I finally stopped going about 2008. Karen stopped going in, I think, 2006, and I stopped going in 2008 because, economically, things changed with our newspaper, and we couldn't afford to send people up there for 2 weeks in Toronto. I mean, we could afford it, but there were other priorities. And now we have the arrangement we have now where I don't go. And like I talked about last week, Piers is going again this year, though he's going virtually. So it's a brave new world. Anyway, so September 11th. It's not a date I'm ever going to forget. And I've told that story many times in many forums, and I'll probably tell it again. But Toronto was so lovely, such a wonderful city. They were very kind. It was great therapy to walk around that town and just feel the comfort, the love, and knowing that you were at war. You were at war, and we're still at war. Always at war. Never going to not be at war. Okay. This week, I don't know whether we're going to have the report from the traditional report from the film festival because it's a different sort of festival. So I don't know what Piers is going to do vis-a-vis the festival this year. I know he's going to watch the movies, and when the movies open, we're going to review them. But you can't have really a narrative about what he does because basically what he's doing is sitting in his apartment looking at a computer screen. So that is going to be interesting. I don't know whether he's going to give us a Toronto overview or something like that. I told him, whatever you feel like doing, let me know. And again, we do this on Tuesdays, typically. So there's lots of stuff we don't have figured out yet. Part of the fun. So, anyway, I do know that I Am Woman opens this week, and I reviewed it. And Rent-A-Pal opens this week. and I reviewed that. And there's another movie, whatever the lead features, Broken Heart Something, which is a terrible title because I can't remember it, and I just looked at it before I came up here, is opening this week, and Dan Liebarger is going to have that for us. We have stuff left over from last week, like the home movies thing, which got away from us because it had too much stuff. We have an interview with the Kansas City filmmaker Kevin Wilmot, who works with Spike Lee a lot at his new movie, The 24th, which is available for streaming. And I don't know. Whatever Courtney's got planned from the world of platform diving. I am getting ready to go on my first trip in 6 months this week. It won't affect you at all because I'm leaving on Friday and we're going up to Crystal Bridges and for work. But it'll be the first time I'm going to be staying in a hotel. Audi's coming with us. Audi and Paris and Dublin are coming with. They're going to stay with us in the hotel. And then while we're at Crystal Bridges, they're going to go to the Northwest Hounds Lounge and hang out with their buddies up there. We'll see how this works. It's a brave new world. Again, I don't know if we're ever going to go back to normal. We didn't go back to normal after September 11th, 2001. Maybe we're not going to go back to normal now. Wear your face mask. If you go to the movies, be safe. Be careful. I'm not saying don't go to the movies. I've been to the movies. And I'm going to go to the movies again. I'm going to go see Tenet again at some point because Karen needs to see it. And we need to see a movie like that really in a theater. Some of these other movies maybe you can get by without seeing in a theater, though the theatrical experience still is very special to me, and I would hate to see it diminished significantly. So would Audi. My class starts next week, and that's going to be interesting. So you still have time to sign up for it. Live Quest of Arkansas. I wasn't on the radio last week, and I don't quite know why. It's technical difficulties. I don't know whether I'm going to be in it this week because I might be out of pocket in Northwest Arkansas. Haven't worked that out yet. We'll see what happens. What else? Well, that's our show for this week. We'll see you next week, and be safe, and leave us a comment. Send us a note. I know a lot of you send us notes. We get them. Thanks. Appreciate it. And be safe. Okay, guys. Later.